Bonjour à toutes et à tous, première session de cette journée Datarama 8e édition. Je donne tout de suite la parole à Denis Vanier qui va nous présenter Sergio. Bonjour Sergio, qui nous a rejoint depuis Madrid pour parler de son travail en data visualisation. Denis, qu'est-ce qui t'a intéressé dans le parcours de Sergio? Comment tu le présenterais en quelques mots?
Bonjour, alors West Media Lab a invité Sergio Estella parce que c'est le fondateur d'une des entreprises qui est l'une des plus utiles aujourd'hui pour les journalistes à travers le monde pour monitorer, surveiller les atteintes à l'environnement aujourd'hui. Donc Sergio Estella est designer de formation et en Espagne qui est un peu un terreau de beaucoup d'entreprises de cartographie interactive. Il y a Carto notamment qui a été créé en Espagne et donc Visuality est une des entreprises qui crée des plateformes de cartographie interactive et de surveillance des atteintes à l'environnement à travers le monde sur les forêts, avec Global Forest Watch, Global Fishing Watch et d'autres plateformes de ce même type. Et Sergio Estella a fondé il y a 14 ans maintenant cette agence, Visuality, et il est responsable du design au sein de Visuality. Il va nous parler de la manière dont ils conçoivent ces services qui sont pour le coup vraiment des services d'intérêt général qui aident non seulement des journalistes, des experts en environnement, mais aussi des gouvernements qui parfois s'appuient sur ces projets pour obtenir réparation face à des dommages pour l'environnement, et notamment la pêche illégale, par exemple. Donc il va nous en parler. Donc Sergio, the floor is yours.
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna do this presentation in Spanish because in English, sorry, because I don't speak French. I can try. I have a few words, but it will be a mess. So sorry for that. I'm gonna do my best in English. And well, I'm really happy to be here. I'm a designer, as Denis said, but I'm also other things in life. I'm a amateur musician. I'm a happy dad. I'm a frustrated architect. Why not? I'm a cook, or at least I pretend to cook for my family. I mean, I'm plenty of other things. I'm here today to talk about myself as a designer. As a designer with background in arts and in design, I studied fine arts. Then I decided I wanted to go through the digital technologies. I've been devoting more than 20 years on this topic, and also I plugged into this equation data. So I can consider myself a data designer, something like that. And throughout my journey, I always thought that I could have an impact in life. I had this burning desire of creating something meaningful around me, so I decided to take all my instincts, all my wishes and needs, and mix them with my skills. And I think that was a great force for change, and this is why I'm here. I'm going to be sharing, first of all, with you some recent events that might hit close to your home. This is the heat wave that crossed my country, Spain. These are the wildfires in Greece this summer too. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we all learned that in Marrakech there were these earthquakes that were really devastating. I have a friend who lives there, a French friend who lives in Marrakech, and I was really worried about the situation. I tried to reach him, and I understood that he was okay when he was able to get back to me and say that he and all his family were okay, and his kids, his parents, and so on. So this is very close too. Then after the heat wave in Spain, we also had this storm Dana that crossed southern Europe and made things like this for instance, in Madrid. This is the metro of Madrid. And well, again in Greece, these floods and so on. And the last thing I want to share now is about this Spain's the Doñanas wetland that with all the droughts and heat waves is really experimenting issues in wildlife and crops. And I'm saying all this not just because I want to overwhelm you, but because I think we need to, I want momentarily, at least for the time I'm speaking, and afterwards if possible too, I want you to forget about the trivialities of life I want you to focus more in important issues happening around us and probably, if possible, global issues around the world. So to me, data is an asset. Data is really valuable, but its value lies in its impact. So what truly matters to me is life, because we are all here in the planet. We want to live our lives, and we want to do it the best way possible, right? So this presentation is not only about data visualization, but it's also about life and hope. Why not? Because I think we, data enthusiasts, are able to make significant changes. And data can really help us achieve all these changes that we need to achieve urgently. This is something that we could be working for a decade or more on topics related using data, but all the important topics of our times. And there will be other challenges emerging. So I think it's really important that we work really hard together on achieving and getting potential substantial impact. And data is an enormous tool that we can use. So data, it isn't an end in itself. It's a means, right? But with technology, we are able to create meaningful impact, meaningful changes. So sorry to insist, I think that we people here, all the data enthusiasts, no matter if you are designers, if you are data scientists, developers, journalists, wherever you are, we all can achieve improvements in our planet. So this is why I'm going to try to tell you today. I'm going to give a bit of context of what we do at Visuality, the company that I co-founded. We are turning 14 next month. So I'm really happy that it's not just a project that started a few months ago, but we have a life. And what we do is that we create digital tools that combine data backed on science and help people make informed decisions for the sake of the planet. We do it and try to connect citizens, policy, and nature. These are the three things that we try to connect with the projects that we do at Visuality. So I'm going to start by sharing Global Fishing Watch. This is a project about oceans, because oceans are really important, and we many times forget about oceans. Oceans cover more than 70% of the surface of the planet, and there are many things happening around it, just because we are not able to cover all the surface, but also because we are not able to cover the depth of the oceans. And we designed this project for Oceana and SkyTruth, and we created the first prototype, the first tool working. We developed the whole thing, and they created their own internal tool that they are now continuing and they are working on. So in Global Fishing Watch, users can trace boats. All these dots in the ocean are boats shipping the oceans. So the problem here is that ships have a GPS, but at some point they switch it off. And when they switch off this GPS, no one knows where they are. Therefore, what they're doing. So no one knows if they are fishing in restricted areas, if they are capturing small fish, or even human trafficking. And these are all things that happen every day. And tools like Global Fishing Watch help people understand what's happening in the oceans. For instance, a few years ago, some Chinese ships were found in the Galapagos Islands fishing with the outrageous amount of 200 tons of endangered sharks. And that was made possible thanks to the evidences created by Global Fishing Watch. In the time we were working with Global Fishing Watch, we were able to track 60,000 boats in the period of time of 5 years. That meant something like 24 billion points on the map, moving around the time. And then we continued adding 22 million points every day. Other achievements of this tool are, for instance, the movement No Blue, No Green was able to take some evidences from Global Fishing Watch and convinced the Argentinian government that they had to create 2 protected areas in Argentina. So that's really impactful for me. And also the Indonesian and Peruvian government, both of them decided to upload all their fishing information into Global Fishing Watch. So I think that tools like this are the tools that we need to understand better what's happening in the ocean. This was Global Fishing Watch. Now on a different topic, but also related, because everything is related, everything is connected. And you'll see throughout my presentation that there's connection in everything I'm going to be sharing. And I'm going to talk about biodiversity now. And biodiversity, I want to say that it's really important because 70% of people living in rural areas without resources need biodiversity for their health and well-being. As of today, only 17% of the surface of the planet are considered protected areas. We should achieve 23% by 2030, and the goal would be 50% by 2050. When one species disappears, unimaginable consequences are provoked, and this can affect every other species. So we need to preserve 50%. This is a theory that we came up, we learned from the Half Earth Foundation with a project called Half Earth. This is a theory of change that E.O. Wilson, a scientist, the guy that invented the term biodiversity. You may know him. He's passed away 2 years ago. And they have this theory, and it's supported by plenty of other scientists. So this product that I'm sharing now responds to the needs of preserving this 50% of protected areas in the surface of the planet. So don't forget about this 50%. Maxan, this tool, is the world's leading spatial conservation planning platform, and we participated in the creation of an intuitive user interface for an algorithm with more than 20 years of life, who was very complicated to use, as you can imagine, and now it has a user interface that it's a lot easier to understand. Maxan is like having a wizard for creating conservation projects and to find the best place to save nature based on the impact and the cost of these projects. So it means that it helps people to understand how to turn data into real plans for action on projects happening on the ground. In Maxan, you can upload data, set your own goals, see the choices you need to make to achieve your own goals, and even collaborate with other people in a handy dashboard that you can always go back and see all the data that you have and make the decisions that you made and where they came from. You are also part of a community of Maxan users, learning and sharing together previous experiences, good or bad experiences, but it's a good source of knowledge for people to really understand. So people need to understand that we need tools like Maxan. Maxan helps achieve this 50% of protected areas that we need to preserve as per this theory of E.O. Wilson. The next project I'm sharing today is called Trace. This is a project that we created for the Stockholm Environmental Institute and the Global Canopy Project. And in Trace, we rebuild the flows of commodities from the countries of production to the countries of consumption and through the companies that import and export them. So users can learn not just the volume traded of commodities, but also the impact associated with the trade and compare them with the vulnerabilities of the communities that produce them and the commitments of the companies that trade with them. Here you have an example of what is Trace. You can see in the different columns, you can see the different actors involved in the supply chain. Here we see 4 of them in the Sankey diagram, but there are ways to see up to 10 different actors depending on the commodities, because we really need the data to get all these tools working. So not all the functionalities are available for every country in the world, for every commodity in the world, but for the data that is now available and that was made available by Trace people, that they collected it one by one by one by one. You can also compare the Sankey diagram with a map and see global data and the global impact on the ground. So it's a way to compare like the amount of commodities in the supply chain to what's happening in the land. So with Trace, companies can use this tool to make to know where invest responsibly. Policymakers can pass laws by not only taking into account the economic impact or the commodity exports, but also the social and economic consequences. Local authorities, communities, and NGOs can understand what's happening in their land and why. Media and researchers, they can download the raw data to further study it and come up with new insights and stories. And consumers can understand how important and how complex are the supply chains in the world, because we are not aware as consumers of what we are consuming and where things come from and what's the impact in the environment and in the society. So Trace is shepherding a revolution in supply chain transparency to simplify immensely the global complex supply chains around the world and help people to rethink and re-envisage how the global trade works and how we are connected to far planks of the world, because the antipodes are really closer to what we think, and we are not aware of this, but we are consuming things that come from everywhere in the planet. This is an example brought from Trace too, but it's in just a simple chart. You can see how the shrimp production in Indonesia has gone from, in 2000, they were producing in farms 150,000 tons, of shrimps, and in 2020 they reached over 1 million of tons of shrimps. So it's brutally exaggerated, the amount that they used to produce, the amount that they produce now, and of course the consumption, and we are not aware many times that we are consuming shrimps coming from there, and that has a lot of impact. The next project I'm sharing today, it's an internal product that we made at Visuality. It's a sustainable solution. That's the result of all the things we've learned in the last years, but also working with partners and corporates. We won a European grant that helped us build this product. So from the theory, we were able to produce it. And we worked together with Satelligence and with the advice of the Stockholm Environmental Institute. And it's an incredible tool that is not just a software service to me. It's a game changer in supply chain, so that allows companies to assess the risks and the impacts of their agricultural production in their supply chains. And all this is made possible by using satellite technology and advanced modeling. So Lang Griffon helps people visualize supply chain information and provides actionable impacts. And how do we measure this impact? We have a methodology that comes from two different sources mainly. One is public datasets related with water use, land use, deforestation, greenhouse gas emissions, and biodiversity loss, and we cross this data with company sourcing information. So this is how we make the magic and give the insights for companies to make informed decisions on their impact. With Lang Griffon, users gain access to powerful analysis and forecasting tools. You can perform impact calculations on imported data, visualize and analyze the results, export the data, and create scenarios, future scenarios, to simulate procurement changes. these scenarios can range from working with farmers to adopting more sustainable sourcing practices or changing recipes in their own food, the food that they are creating based on where these commodities come from. They can buy in different places, or they may decide to change directly the ingredient in the recipe. So the beauty of Lang Griffon to me is that help you compare scenarios from historical data to company targets. So there's a way to compare what you used to do with what you want to do, and to make informed decisions and evaluate the trade-offs and take actions. So companies have environmental goals now, and this is a tool to help them achieve these goals. However, it's essential also to remind you all that individual consumption plays a role here. We all have to change the consumption habits that we have, because many times companies respond to demand. So there's a linkage between our consumption and their production. So we think that Lang Griffon can be a catalyst for transformative change in the economic system. And the next project, this is the last project I'm going to be presenting today, is about forests. Well, sadly, it's not about forest. Sadly, it's about deforestation. And I would like to, first of all, say why forests are so important. They are really important because are fundamental for millions of people's lives. They affect also climate change, biodiversity, water and air quality, and are pressured by economic and financial factors. So every minute, 50 forest hectares are lost. That means that in the hours that this conference is happening, more than 200 square kilometers are going to be lost, which is more or less, just to land these figures, is like 3 times the surface of Nantes, if I made the calculations correctly. So I think that forests are really important because they host millions of millions of species' lives, not only people's lives. And that's why we participated in Global Forest Watch, which is a tool that helps people check out deforestation in near real time using satellite technology. In this globe here, you can see these pink pixels. They mean deforestation, and this is deforestation from 2001 to 2019. Which, by the way, this video was tweeted by your president, the president of France, anecdotally. So, putting change data into context, as we do here in the map of Global Forest Watch, people can understand what's happening in their lands and why. Because some of the drivers may be land concessions or illegal logging roads. Since we started, this platform has changed a lot. We've worked, I think this is the 4th or maybe the 5th version of Global Forest Watch. We've been iterating a lot. It took time to understand who the users were, who were the users that were going to have more impact. And finally, we came up with this version that is quite stable. I think it's been online for 4 or 5 years maybe. And users can double-check more than 200 layers. They can also create analysis, subscribe to alerts about deforestation, and create their own profiles. Apart from these alerts, we created Forest Watcher, which is a smartphone app, so that when you receive alerts about deforestation, people can go on the ground and confirm this deforestation. So it's a way to not only trust in satellite data, but also cross this information with human data. Apart from the map, we have the dashboards, where you can have a more granular definition of what's happening in the land. In this case, the granularity goes from country level to regions to jurisdictions, but you also can have the dashboards related with the save files that you can upload to your own profile. So you have a dashboard about the data in the area that you really need to understand. And I'm going to share the result of one of the things that has facilitated Global Forest Watch. Global Forest Watch helped reveal that United Cacao, an English company that was in the stock exchange in London, broke their promises that they were going to grow sustainably in the Amazon in Peru, and they decided to clear out and get rid of forest to make way for cocoa. So that was they deforested like 2,000 hectares of intact forest to make way for cocoa, as I said, and these evidences came from Global Forest Watch. So these evidences all together helped reveal that this company was doing what was doing. And this story was covered by Bonga Bay and picked up by The Guardian, leading Peru's government to halt United Cacao's operation. So this company is no longer operating. They closed. I think this is a magnificent story about things that we can do through data, through platforms that uses data. And you can double check in Global Forest Watch's site because there are more of these stories of success. So if you ask me, because this is the motto of this conference, if we can talk about data visualization of general interest, my guess and my answer is that yes, we can. We should. So my 2 cents here is that we data enthusiasts can play a really important role in helping people understand how important are these issues and how we have to change our own behaviors. So I think we could become planet-centric individuals at some point, and even better, we should become a planet-centric society. So we have now the data, we have the technology, we have the knowledge. What else do we need? I think we only have to start working on what is really important, as I said, life, and the emergency that is important, because I'm really optimistic and I think this goal is achievable, but we really need to tackle all these issues on the planet. And I think that we data enthusiasts are very, very skilled to do so. So what else? It's time to act. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Sergio. Merci beaucoup, Sergio. C'est maintenant l'heure des questions. It's time for questions and answers, maybe. Maybe first, if there is any questions in the audience, s'il y avait une question, prenez le micro, take the mic. Si vous ne voulez pas vous exprimer en anglais, on tâchera de traduire votre question. Ne vous inquiétez pas, c'est pas obligatoire. I have maybe one question for you,
No,
because it's really it's a very positive way of thinking of technology, for example, because with a strong impact. And what would be the indicators of success for this kind of projects? Is it in the political decisions, business strategy, consumer habits? What would be the best indicators for this kind of projects?
That's one of the questions we've been trying to answer for many years now. We know that some of them are more tangible than others, and sometimes we are able to really know what has happened thanks to the platforms that we create. But yeah, I think these sort of indicators are, well, I shared some evidences. You can argue from these decisions made how much came from these platforms. Probably there might be other drivers to make decisions for people. But yeah, I think that the fact that you have evidences, that you can start having conversation and taking action is really important. And as you said, it's changes, so changes in politics, the way they think, even the way they act, and of course, as I said before, like in changing one ingredient in one recipe can be a big change, because it may affect stop deforesting and all what is attached to deforestation. That sometimes is like families living in an area have to move to a different place. They had places to live in, but they have to move somewhere else, and they may not have houses. So it's like really complicated to give you like these are the indicators. This is the result of this tool. There are subtle nuances that need to be discussed.
Est-ce qu'il y a une question dans la salle? Sinon, j'enchaîne. Denis, oui.
Maybe just one question about the way you design the platform. For example, Global Forest Watch. You said there were four versions of the Global Forest Watch platform. What was the insights you get about public targets? And what did you change in the design of the platform to have more impact with this data?
Yeah, so, well, at some point, we, along with WRI, which is the NGO that leads this project, we thought that having different platforms, like different vertical platforms, one related with fires, so the relationship between deforestation and fires, deforestation with carbon, with water, and with commodities. So there were 4 different platforms, because we thought that there might be 4 different users we needed to target with different needs. But in the meantime, we built all these platforms, and we found out that many of them needed things from one platform, and then from the other one, and then from the other one. So that's why we decided to merge them all into just one platform. And that was the reason why we created this last version. So we were working first on the flagship Global Forest Watch, and then we built these other small ones, and at some point decided to merge them all into just one. Well, there's another one which is for private usage. That is, it's something that WRI do, but we are not part of this one.
Yeah. Okay. We got one question from the audience, from the online audience. Hi, how can standalone database designers, I mean probably independent designers, can be linked to the projects and datasets managed by Visuality? So how can they contribute?
Yeah,
that's probably the question.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we do have an internal team of designers. So just to tell you a bit about the team we have scientists, data scientists, developers, designers, and of course all of them have different profiles. And we have a team of 7 designers right now. But we are eager to get contributions from people. So I think the best way is to contact us, and if we have an opportunity or if they have ideas, we can have conversations about likely collaborations, I'd say.
Thank you. Do you have any open source projects that can be put? All
our
contributions of
our projects are open, but not all of them anymore. The ones we do for corporates, because they have more sensitive data, are not open. But the ones that most of our projects are open source. They are all in GitHub. So everyone could just use the code that we have there. Yeah, same with the science. We try to be open science, and the methodology of Lang Griffon is also public. So yeah, we always thought that contributions from the outside are more than welcome in general.
On a une question salle.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sergio. I'm very impressed by your work. My question is about the team. How many people are working at Visuality, and maybe what are the skills from this team?
Okay, so there are 50 of us as of today, and the mix of skills is it's curious because, well, I think that the main thing is that we all share the same purpose in life, that we all want to improve the way things are and what's going on and what can happen in the future. People like me with family thinking not only about ourselves but the legacy that we are living. And this is something that we all share. But from the more technical point of view, well, we do have data scientists, software engineers, people in the middle, kind of data software engineers too. We have people from geography, because we do a lot of geography, as you can see in the projects we do. We have scientists, proper scientists, and we have designers, and they are, well, most of the people in the team. Well, of course, we also have people for operations and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to forget about them. But regarding the projects, I think these are the ones that are more important. And well, I think the other thing that we always take into account is that we want to be as strict as possible with the science, and so we want to support all the data and back this data on science. So this is very important, and also with our clients' needs and users' needs. So this is kind of the other thing that we have in the skills we have in the team. We try to be thinking about all these things, and this is something that you need to train a little bit. So yeah, it's like a combination of different skills, different talented people make this, for me, amazing team that we have. Thank you.
Denis?
Just one more insight about the impact of your activity. There's a very useful tool in Global Forest Watch, and also in Global Fishing Watch, is the ability to have alerts, to subscribe to alerts. How many people around the world today have subscribed to those alerts of deforestation,
I'm sorry, I don't have the number of how many people do have it, but yeah, people do use it. So it depends on where you are. I was surprised once when we were designing the Forest Watcher app, this app that I told before for confirming deforestation on the ground. And one of the things that we got, one of the insights we got from this is that in certain places in the world, you cannot go to the place and say, yes, here there was a tree. Why not? Because there might be people trying to kill you. And so, I mean, this is not about the users. The alerts are consumed by many people. But I don't know the number exactly. The number, sorry.
I have maybe one last question because we're running out of time.
Cool.
There is an audience of young designers in the room, and so what would be if you have just one advice for them? What would you tell them?
I'd say focus on the important issues. Forget about doing only cool stuff, because I was in my previous life as a designer, I worked for marketing agencies, I worked for advertising agencies. We were trying to sell things in a rush. We may not sleep in the night because we had to deliver a campaign the day after, and I don't think they were pressuring issues that we needed to solve. And today I feel a lot better because I also think that there's a purpose in what I do.
Mm-hmm. So the advice is to find a purpose in what you do.
Yes.
Donc il faut trouver un sens à ce qu'on fait. Voilà, c'est ça le message de Sergio pour les jeunes designers qui sont dans la salle. Thank you very much, Sergio. Thank you. It was very inspiring and very positive, I would say, even if the topics themselves are quite serious problems.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, but your approach is very positive and very effective. So thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denis, for the invitation. It was a pleasure to have both of you there. We're going to switch to the second session after the jingle which is about to be launched in a few seconds. So the second session will be Thomas Baudel from IBM. Donc nous recevons Thomas Baudel d'IBM R&D, qui est invité par Frédéric Coppa, et j'aurai le plaisir de les accueillir dans quelques secondes, dans l'enceinte de ce studio.